Hello, everybody. All right, today in our video, we're going to talk about the concept of synthesis as it relates specifically to the individual written argument. I'm going to mention this a couple times in the video. We're only talking about what synthesis should look like in regards to the individual written argument. Synthesis might have a different explanation in your AP language class or in a college class where your professor is asking for synthesis. There'll be some similarity, but for the most part, we're going to focus intentionally on what is being looked for by the readers in relation to the individual written argument. Okay, let's keep in mind synthesis is one of the foundational skills that is being evaluated in the individual written argument assessment. So here I've pulled the language out from row 4 of the College Board rubric. And let's take a look at the differences between low, medium, and high. For a low score, the response incorporates evidence from a minimal range of sources, meaning I don't have enough expert sources, I don't have enough peer-reviewed sources, or maybe I only have 3 or 4, or information is provided but not used as evidence to support the argument. This is where we see kids continuing the skills that they demonstrated in the individual research report, where they went and found information, and they might have a significant number of very credible and very relevant sources, but all they do is report the information out. They tell me what the author of the source has said, but they don't then use it in incorporating it into their own argument. When we look at a medium score, the response incorporates evidence from a range of sources to develop and support the argument. So here's where we'll see an attempt to take evidence from sources and use it to develop and support the argument, but it doesn't quite get to the high score. The skill is present, but it's not being done at a high level. So let's look at a high scoring response. The response incorporates and synthesizes relevant evidence from a wide range of sources to develop and support the argument. Synthesizes, that's a very important word, and it's used here intentionally. So let's explore what is meant by synthesis in relation to this assessment. In regards to AP Seminar, synthesis refers to the presence of student voice. This is not to encourage you to use personalization. We should not be seeing words like I, me, or my. Your opinion is not what we're looking for. We want to remain in an academic tone, but I should be able to see that you, as the author, have taken information from multiple sources and used them to establish a new concept that supports your argument. Remember, once again, this video is just talking about what it should look like in your AP seminar assessments. Your AP language teacher might have a very different explanation for synthesis, but in regards to the individual written argument, we're looking for the presence of student voice. Let's go back to the rubric, and we look at low scores are determined by simply reporting the information from sources. Yes, you could have an information dump of a paper that has 15 sources and multiple parenthetical citations if you're using APA, yet it doesn't reflect student voice because all you've done is list information. Trying to overwhelm the reader with a list of facts or quotes does not move you forward on row 4 of the rubric. High scores are determined by intentionally using the information from multiple sources to build a new argument. So let's take a look at what this might mean in terms of a low score. Once again, reporting of information does not reflect student voice leads to a low score on row 4. Here we would see export source 1. Reports indicate that a significant percentage of individual written argument submissions simply report facts from their sources. So this would be information from one of my sources. Now we look over at expert source 2. Some experts believe teachers spend a great deal of instructional time trying to get students to do more than report facts. Well, in this circumstance, if this were in an individual written argument submission, all I would see here is the reporting of information from 2 sources. There is no attempt here to try and bring these 2 sources together. There is no synthesis. They are separate. But now let's see how I can take the same information and very easily, with one sentence, demonstrate synthesis. Once again, I have the exact same information from expert source 1 and expert source 2, but now I'm going to bring those ideas together, right? I'm still going to write them in my paper. I'm still going to have these same sentences, but now what I'm going to do is use them to develop an argument. And my argument would be, given that many students earn low scores by ignoring their instructor's attempts to synthesize, the scores will improve if students follow instructions. With this simple communication here, I've taken the information from the two sources and I have turned it into a new argument. I have utilized the information from source 1 and source 2 to be evidence to support the claim that I am making here. This simple change is what could move a paper from a low score to at least a medium. If this is the only time I do it in the paper, then I'm probably going to get stuck at a medium. But if repeatedly throughout the paper, there is clear indication that I'm taking information from multiple sources and developing something new, that's how I get to a high score on row 4 of the rubric. I hope this has been helpful for you. Once again, we're looking for student voice, not individualized language. Please do not use the words I, me, or my. Let's keep it an academic tone. But as you can see here in my sample, I don't share my opinion. I don't say I believe. I keep an academic tone and I clearly take the information from those two sources and suggest that given that many students earn low scores by ignoring their instructor's attempts to synthesize the scores will improve if students follow instructions. I hope this has been helpful for you. This should, if you make multiple attempts throughout your paper, this should improve your scores on this row of the rubric.